trying to become a better drummer, better musician, better whatever, and seeing as you don't know what the demand is from one day to the next, the smart thing to do is to be as adept in as many different types of musicians things as you possibly can. So I have these local sheets. Hey, I don't want to hear it. From my instructor at Guitar Center. And I've got dogs being upset about something. I don't know what the problem is. I think this is a drum set drummer, if I'm not mistaken, whatever that book is. Okay, it's Guitar Center Lessons Drums Book 1, or whatever that's worth. So I was told to read these things, if you can see. These little things here. Instead of reading them from this side to that side, you read them this way. No columns. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and do that again because this thing here with the dots on it in the line is a repeat sign. So we're doing backbeats apparently, and I'm not Buddy Rich, so if that's what you're expecting, you may want to click off now. I have this is a TD12 Roland V drum kit. It came with 3 toms when it was new, and this 4th one is an auxiliary, and you also get an option to put up another cymbal, which would be really helpful for a lot of things. Anyways, so good side of this kit, the mesh heads don't wear out, which is nice, or at least very rarely they do. If you use the felt side of the beater on the kick drum, it will eventually put a hole in your kick drum, and I assure you that kick drum heads or drum heads for mesh Roland's, anything Roland is not cheap. So what I've done was I put one of those kick pad, aquarium kick pad target things on there to stop the hole from spreading, and it's been working for the last, I don't know, 3 years or so. So been really happy with that. And this tom here is an auxiliary, like I said. I got this neat little thing underneath on my very substantial DW hi-hat pedal. It's enormous, I don't know why. It came with the kit. This was a floor model from Guitar Center. So, for whatever that's worth. And this is a TD12, which is probably about the same age as my keyboard over there. About 1997, but still works. So I think what usually fails in these when you get to that point is this power supply, because you can take this power cord out. And that's usually the part, from my experience, that tends to fail. Sometimes you have problems with the rest of the box and all that, and so I would suggest making friends with a good electronics engineer who knows, preferably one who knows something about Roland. But if you're careful with them, this is a metal box, so unless you're really an idiot, you're not going to have any problems with this, from accidentally hitting it with a stick or anything like that. So this is all basic backbeat patterns, and I'm just going to go down the list here using I love this stupid little Japanese voice. I don't know why, I just do. And going as slow as possible, which Bernard Purdy suggested and still does to this day, at about 40 beats per minute. I'm going to count in eighths, make things simpler, so it'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
1 and
that
2
little goofy
and
Japanese thing.
3
See if I can
and
do this.
4
and
and
1
and
2 and 3 and 4. Repeat. 1
and
2
and
3
and
4
and
1
and
2
and
3 and 4 and 1
and
2 and 3 and 4 and number 2. 1 and 2 and 3
and
4
and
1
and
2
and
3
and
4
and 1 and
2 and 3
and
4
and
1
and
2
and
3
and
4.
and 1
So,
2
one of the most helpful books, there's a number of them, God knows, and a lot of them are not either very good or very effective, or you really, at some point, you're really going to need a drum coach at some point. I don't care what instrument it is, you really should have one, even temporarily or intermittently or every so often when you run across a wall, because they can help you get past whatever wall you just came up against, and you will come up against them, especially if you're relying on, God help you, YouTube videos. No offense, YouTube, but trying to do that without a coach is really difficult. Trying to use Skype is, again, almost impossible because of the video lag, between the live video lag between A and B. It's almost impossible to try to do a drum lesson or any instrument lesson online. However, you get these little programs and these little books, and I have, what do I have here? I have Carmine and Peach's Realistic Rock. I have, what else I got here? Oh, goody, this is the one that Steve gave me. Ron Spagnardi. Spagnardi, I should be able to pronounce that being Italian. Drum set control. This is an oldie but a goodie, apparently. No idea what these things would cost online. This one here I think was maybe $20. Don't get that stupid DVD because it's not very effective. This is, of course, Buddy Rich's snare drum control rudiments. And they all have their purpose. Buddy Rich, again, I don't know how much he had to do with this book because obviously he's been dead for quite some time. But his thing is essentially slightly different in that he wants, let's get our count. Whoops.
1
And
two.
2. So you would be putting an accent on 1 and then following through with the rest.
1
And 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So obviously, as boring as that looks, it's really effective if you were to do that 10 minutes a day. You put the accent on the 1, and then you can switch the accent to the 2, the 3, the 4, whatever, different things. I would suggest, and this is just me, getting into that, I guess the backbeat, not necessarily the downbeat being the 1, but the ands. So you put the snare drum on the ands, you put the kick drum on the ands, then you get really adept because you have this nice little box here. And you can do the E's and the U's, right? So you get that weird swing feeling, I guess you'd call it. And try playing on those because at some point it's going to come up. So you want to be familiar with that. You want to be familiar with putting the ands on the hi-hat because that comes up in dance music. It comes up in disco, or what do you call it? Early R&B, funk. They tend to do a lot of the ands on this. You get punk and country putting the ands on the snare, and you want to be familiar with that in case anybody asks you to do it, or you could be in a live situation. I've had this happen where the deal was that I was playing with a DJ, and I said, well, it's going to be $175 to move the drums because moving the drums is not fun. That's the hard part. Putting the drums in the car. It's $175 to put the drums in the car. Haven't done anything yet except move the drums, which is the worst part of the whole deal. I don't want to move the drums. Nobody ever wants to move the drums. And if you're paying for a drummer, that's where all the money goes. So I said, well, I've got the drums. I have no idea what these drums were, but, what they were, what condition they were in, when, the heads, God only knows when they've been changed or touched or tuned or anything else. But it turned out the drum set was in actually pretty good condition, which is more than I can say for a lot of places in a lot of situations. But anyways, the file that he gave me wasn't quite working. So, or it would only let me play through once or twice or whatever, which is really stupid. But at any rate, he didn't know that, and so there I am live, figuring, well, it's dance music or EDM. How hard could it be? And it wasn't very, but I just had to remember it instead of going 1 and 2, I had to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And the minute I figured that out, because the feel wasn't right, the minute I figured that out, then it got a lot better, right? So that's where that went. But I didn't figure it out right away. So you have to be really good at being able to listen to either whoever you're playing with or the recording, and then change it up if you have to. What would you change it to? If you only have a limited amount of chops, you can't change it too much because you don't know anything. So this is where your drum teacher comes in, and he basically says, well, this is what we do. So I've been trying to work on that because I want to be adept. Somebody needs a keyboard player, I want to be ready to do that, or a bass player, also very in demand in Chicago. A singer, I can do that already pretty much, while drumming, assuming we're not doing Buddy Rich or the real complicated Steve Smith stuff from Journey. I can pretty much do that. You do get a little breathless, though, just for the record. And the rudiments and the, you know, the things that my instructor has suggested of me. So, you know, make a list of songs you want to learn, get a notebook to write lesson notes in, and then these little things like this. So, whatever he's talking about here, you're going to read it backwards. So he says, put your snare drum on 2 beats, and then put the bass drum every other beat. Like that, and then do this, and slightly different exercise. What's the difference? Oh, I see. You're starting with two rights and then 2 lefts, and then alternating right, left. And then do this right, left, left, which is also known as a paradiddle. Get Drum Set Musician by Rod Morgenstern, whatever it was. It's fairly easy to find online. And, you know, various little notes like that, which is the kind of thing that you get from a drum instructor that you don't get sitting at home by yourself watching YouTube videos. So it's one of those deals where you get what you pay for. I recommend getting somebody that's a good drummer, because I'm sure there's a lot of instructors that are not very good. It could be good drummers, but not very good teachers. You kind of need one that's both. I would take one that's maybe not Buddy Rich, but a really good teacher, because you're not anywhere near him. So in terms of skill, the chops that we're talking about, so it doesn't matter if you're not Buddy Rich, right? You just need him to say, well, quit doing this. Every time you have to hit the snare, you do this. I was doing this for a while there, and I didn't really notice it. It was getting to a point where I was going around it in terms of what I needed to do after that. So he pointed that out, and, you know, God only knows, I could have been doing that for months and not even noticed, but it was slowing me down. So once I got over that, I could, you know, because they're electronic drums. You can hit them, or electronic keyboard, or electronic anything. You can hit them as hard as you want to, but it's not going to change the sound, right? That's why God gave you a volume control. You don't have to hit harder. That doesn't even make any sense. So on these, you might get, you know, two volumes, right? A low and a high, or, you know what I mean? And you get, on these, you get the ability to choke. But you're not going to get the same range of volumes that you do on an acoustic set. You're just not, which is like 50. You can get 50 volumes, from 0 meaning off to 50 being as loud as you can play. But it doesn't matter. In electronic drums, it doesn't make any difference. You can hit harder all you want to, but you're only hurting yourself. So, and the good news about this is that you don't tear up your sticks. These are Agner's pipe band drumsticks, made in Switzerland. They are not maple, these are maple. And these are my beloved HS1 Highlander sticks from Big Firth, who I am irritated and annoyed to say did not pay any attention to me when I begged them to not stop making my favorite drumsticks. These are, I don't know what the wood is, but there's some weird wood that Vic's Drum Shop in Chicago told me about. There's some oddball wood that we don't have in America. And they just happened to be the only set sitting on the counter, and they were just perfect for me. And they're very similar to my other personal favorites, which are these guys. These are my favorites. These are my maples. They're very light, and if you need a lot of power, they have a lot of power. And I got into that habit when I broke my wrist. So I couldn't really hold much. In fact, I couldn't even hold my own dog poo. You know, you have to pick up after your dogs. I couldn't even hold my own dog poo. So that means I needed to come up with something. And those drumsticks were really effective in terms of I could hold them easily. And the other good news about that was that they were light. And if you need a lot of power because they have a lot of mass, they're big, you can do that pretty easily without having to change sticks. Their only downside is that if you have to do something that requires a lot of fast eighths notes, you know, that kind of thing, like Help by the Beatles is a good example. You see the Ed Sullivan Show, and you see Ringo doing like this with his hand, so he's utilizing the movement of his hand to facilitate the bounce on the hi-hat. Well, that's a little harder to do with great big sticks. It can be done, I'm sure, and it would be a good exercise to try it every so often, but I find it an exercise in frustration, and you'll be a little happier with something like this, which are quite a bit thinner. These are 5As. And they also have beaters on them, which are kind of nice. So, easier for flipping. You know, I think you're a good flipper if the stick actually leaves your hands and you can make them come back to your hands. But if you miss, always put this thing underneath your hi-hat. I don't think they make these anymore. I'm really glad that Gary gave them to me, old recording engineer. So that's all I have to share for right now. I'm hoping I said something useful. If you can get one of these little boxes, you know, for an early V-drum set, which shouldn't be too expensive at this point, I would highly recommend them because it'll count whatever you want it to count. It'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be quarters. It would count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which are eighths. Or it'll count 16ths, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a, which gets a little overwhelming at fast speeds because then you'd have to go to eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or very fast you'd have to go to quarters. And those E's and U's and ands would be assumed because it's just ridiculous to even try to count them. Sometimes you can't count them, it's just too silly. But anyway, hopefully I said or did something useful, and thank you for watching.